Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and patch 5.2 arrives tomorrow. This is going to be very different to all the patches that we've seen before for Total War Warhammer. As I've had a quick gander, it's not focusing around multiplayer updates or changing prices of certain units to fluff up the patch notes. There are a lot, and I mean a lot of changes coming in. There's a few that have been discussed in the previous dev blog, but also a massive change to the campaign AI, something that people have been asking for a long time, and interestingly enough, some new units. Sure, they're not the most important units, but there are unit variants that have been missing in the game for a long time now, and it's something that we could potentially see happening every patch or so. So yeah, let's just get started because there's a lot to talk about today. I'm fairly excited. I've had a little bit of a gander. Let's jump in. There's timestamps in the description for everything that you might have seen in the dev blog that might be mentioned here, but I'm putting it just in case you haven't seen the dev blog. The Deeps new campaign feature. All Dwarf factions now have access to a brand new campaign feature called the Deeps. After constructing the Great Gate building in your settlements, you'll gain access to a new location beneath your corrects, the Deeps. These deeper locations within a dwarf hold, extending down to the Underdeep, offer ample opportunities to expand your settlements beyond their original limits. This is a brand new building tree available within the Deeps, providing opportunity to do things you couldn't do in your existing settlements, such as sealing your hold, smelting your oath gold, just to name a few. However, all dwarf players should be aware that expanding into the Deeps is a costly endeavor. You'll need provision from the High King, and will also need some patience to clear blockages. With this feature, we aim to address feedback from the last Dwarf update, which indicated that some players felt that Dwarves had an overly expansionist and aggressive playstyle. This edition provides Dwarf players with the option to focus on playing taller, investing more in existing settlements and adopting a more defensive strategy. There is much more to discover with this feature, including new gameplay opportunities and unique elements. So this is something that we discussed a few days ago. It looks pretty damn good. It's hopefully something that we'll see with some other factions, because obviously the Skaven are another one that use these Deeps. Naturally, they went with the Dwarfs first because the Dwarfs needed a bit of a change, but it would be nice to see this mechanic used where appropriate. I'm really happy that patches are starting to bring in new mechanics, that's for sure. Alright, so the cult rework comes in. This affects the monogod factions called Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh. We've received extensive feedback on the Chaos Cults feature since its release, and so we've decided to make a number of changes and additions to enhance its depth and dynamism. So, Chaos Cults can now be created by Chaos Agents for all factions that use this feature. This change means cults will no longer spread through corruption. Instead, cults now produce corruption themselves. This is something that is really going to fix up a lot of issues for the Chaos Gods, that's for sure. There's also a new unique campaign-only agent known as the Cult Magus, who can create improved cults available through upgrading an existing standard cult. The building tree for all Chaos Gods have been expanded, now offering more than double the previous number of building choices. There are 36 building options across all cults, and they spread across all categories of machinations, rituals, and the Cult Magus unique choice. So this means a standard cult will have 8 buildings, and the 9th will be like the special building, I guess? I mean, that's what makes sense to me. But yeah, let's continue. We've completely revamped the buildings and effects across all cults, focusing more on unique and interesting gameplay effects and creating synergies between certain buildings for more interesting gameplay. And of course, the cult effects are different depending on which god they're centered around, with the effects focusing on specialities and gameplay of the races. Chaos Cults now utilize the Discovery feature, meaning that you will need to manage a cult's visibility to avoid its discovery by the region over. Likewise, when not playing as a Chaos faction, you'll need to be able to discover and ultimately remove the Chaos Cults. I wonder how this is going to work with 8 buildings, because even the Skaven had more buildings when it came to discoverability to remove and so on, but I guess we'll be able to find out tomorrow. It's just... yeah, I'm super looking forward to this. This was one of the worst features of Warhammer 3 because it just did not have that many uses. The Nurgle one was fine because it generated infections, but that's pretty much it. So, yeah, super keen. Here's where the big change comes in. Unusual Locations new campaign feature. As you can tell by the image at the bottom, it also appears as a kind of like Undercity building, Cult City. So I was expecting it to actually drop into your standard buildings, but no, it's just a separate edition. That's perfectly fine. It makes it a little bit easier to manage. I was kind of worried that it was just going to pop into your settlements that were already full and just delete a random building, to be honest. So yeah, fears saved. The Warhammer world is rich with lore, and we're very keen to make the world feel more alive wherever possible, as well as providing more unique and interesting gameplay experiences throughout your campaigns. This new campaign feature will provide the opportunities to stumble across 20 new unusual locations in your settlements throughout the course of your campaign. The locations provide unique and interesting effects, sometimes with trade-offs, along with unique events, traits, and items. We're confident that the fans of the lore will enjoy discovering some lesser reference places from the Warhammer world. These locations are often linked to specific regions or sets of provinces and may come with additional restrictions. You also have the option to remove them from your settlements if you prefer. Much like we know everyone enjoys discovering landmark locations, we think you'll enjoy discovering these. While we focus mostly on the old world locations and the lore this time, let us know if you enjoy this feature and we'll look to add more in the future updates. Yep, I mean that works. They go centralized at one point and then start branching out. I like the idea of this. I'm a big lore fan, as you guys know, and I know a lot of you guys are too. So it's bringing in an element that we really don't have in Total War Warhammer, because Total War is supposed to be a sandbox game, and I think that it should still remain a sandbox game, but a little bit of a sprinkle here and there just adds a lot more detail. Okay, so now we have some brand new information, which is the Ivory Road update for Grand Cathay. We've heard your feedback regarding the Ivory Road feature and how the Chaos Dwarf Convoys feature supersedes it in some ways. To address this, we've made the following improvements. Cathay can now dispatch multiple caravans. Yes! As a Lord of Shangyang, Zhao Ming, the Iron Dragon, may dispatch 2 caravans from the start of the campaign. So he's going to have very similar to Zatan the Black, which works really well. And a newly added technology available to all Cathayan factions can add another caravan slot, meaning that Zhao Ming can have 3 and the rest of them will have 2. Great. Caravans will gain a unit depending on which location they complete their journey at. For example, arriving at Erengrad will grant a unit of Akshina ambushers along with a unique item. 3 new destinations have been added to the Immortal Empires campaign: Null for the Empire, Barakvar for the Dwarfs, and Gisaror for Britonia, giving a unique item and adding a unit to the caravan. Awesome, awesome. A number of small UX and bug fixes have been also implemented. For example, you can now see the amount of cargo the caravan is carrying, as well as the maximum available, where an event appears that could add to the caravan's cargo. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. See, this is what I wanted. The Chaos Caravan system was really, really good for the Chaos Dwarves, and it's something that we've been asking for a long time. We've had the Chaos Dwarves out for a fair amount of time. It's taken a while to get this here, but I imagine they had to change up some hard coding and so on. Yeah, this is great. This is absolutely awesome. Obviously, it's not a big thing for a lot of people, but I do enjoy playing Grand Cathay every now and then, and the fact is that only having that one caravan was kind of limited when compared to the Chaos Dwarfs, who obviously had a lot more income coming in through their caravan system. Zhao Ming having 2 from the very beginning is quite good. It's not a unique mechanic, but it definitely does give him a little bit of a different thing, considering that Miao Yin has the gate mechanic, so that's hers exclusively. Now we've got something different for Zhao Ming, which is important. Something small generally does make a character feel a lot better. And not being funny, out of the 3 Chaos Dwarfs, I do enjoy playing Zatan more. The location is very good, and having the extra caravan from the very beginning also allows for going for a faster campaign. Alright, a small thing, but ultimately these small things are actually quite good. Campaign UI updates. Settlement Resource Tooltip. We've improved the tooltip displayed when hovering over the resource icon on the settlement label, making it function similar to the landmark tooltip added previously. This will allow you to preview the unique building chain available for construction in that settlement. So this works quite well, because if you're looking for certain bonuses that are faction-wide, or if you're a Skaven player trying to figure out which one of these buildings will allow you to get some extra food before taking certain settlements, yeah, this works well. Again, small, but very useful. It's the same reason with the landmark stuff, because it gave you incentivization to go to certain settlements and take those buildings so you could get those bonuses. Very happy. Alright, now your prayers have been answered, because we're getting a big change to campaign AI. It's actually a fair chunk of these patch notes. And yeah, we've got to talk about a lot of stuff here. So, As part of patch 5.2, we've incorporated much of your feedback to improve the overall challenge presented by the campaign AI. During the mid to late turns of your campaign, we've also made a minor update to the difficulty settings. So there's recruitment and unit qualities refresh. We've been hard at work at fine-tuning the campaign AI recruitment system to make it more robust and effective. We've also streamlined how unit qualities, the value the AI uses to measure a unit's power, are designed and balanced. Building scores and synergies. We've updated the campaign AI building system to improve its progression into the mid to late game of a campaign. We've increased construction priority on main major settlements to accelerate how quickly the campaign AI can unlock high tier units, for example from advanced military buildings. We've increased construction priority on special resource buildings, e.g. gold mines, compared to the standard income buildings. Lastly, we did a construction priorities balance pass on the two most problematic factions, Tomb Kings and Lizardmen. This is already sounding absolutely insane, and yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about, so let's jump into these features. So we've got examples here when it comes to turn 50 for Lizardmen. So disclaimer, please note that AI faction potentials can vary from campaign to campaign. The following images are two specific samples used to convey the design intent and may not represent the exact composition of all Lizardmen AI armies. This is something that needs to be said before we jump in. So when it comes to potential, this is a hidden mechanic that you guys might not know about. Every campaign, when you start a new one, has potential, and it will like randomly roll for all the different factions. If they have higher potential, they'll be more active. If they've got lower potential, they'll be less active. This is why you will see drastically different changes when it comes to time lapses, or even how your campaign progresses if you've started the same multiple campaign, but I don't know, Vlad has acted differently, Azag or whatever, right? So before is a pretty standard Lizardmen army that we've seen. It's always kind of jumbled and so on. This is with Itza 2, which I've noticed does generally focus on getting some flyers for some reason, which doesn't really fit with the theme. Now, if we look at the after section, there's a lot more variety. There's obviously a big focus on Saurus because it is Itza, but you can see some monsters in the second army. You'll generally see more armies, it seems, too, which turn 50, yeah, more or less two armies is when you see the AI. Sometimes they'll have a few more depending on the potential, but the drastic change is there. It's very noticeable. It is very, very, very noticeable. So I'm quite happy about this. Now, this is supposed to affect the whole game. The Lizardmen are a little bit more problematic ones, I'd say. Well, and the Tomb Kings too. So yeah, I mean, this should be quite interesting. This should actually drastically change Total War Warhammer. It should make it a little bit harder, by the way, because they will start getting some more like strong units and stuff. But at the end of the day, just a smarter AI is going to be better, right? It's going to present a proper challenge. So let's get into the last bit here. Increased challenge on higher difficulties. Based on your feedback, we've increased the difficulty buffs applied to the AI by approximately 20% in accordance with their faction potential. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. I don't think anyone's going to complain about this. I mean, there is going to be some people saying, well, they've made the game harder now. It's no longer fun. Bro, you don't have to play in Legendary, you know. It's just play whatever the setting is best for you. Alright, so in the recruitment section now, unit qualities system update. Why? Upon further review, we noticed that the unit qualities values, the numbers the AI uses to evaluate the power of a unit for the purposes of recruitment, had a higher number of inconsistencies, which was causing problems with the campaign AI recruitment behaviors. The intent is to make the campaign AI recruitment more robust and consistent. What? We've overhauled the unit qualities value system. If available, when the budget permits it, the AI will more consistently recruit more powerful units. Where possible, the AI will try to increase the variety of units recruited. Awesome, no more doom stacks from the AI, which is super weird. They'll probably get like a lot more monsters here and there and just variety. This is something that we've needed, like really needed. Buildings now, major settlement construction priorities. Why? When reviewing AI construction, we observed that the AI sometimes took a considerable amount of time to upgrade their main settlement building chains. For example, by 1040, Altdorf was still averaging only at tier 2. Ooh, wow. This refers to the overall AI system acting slowly in upgrading primary settlements, which significantly hampers its ability to advance their tech level. What? We've increased the construction priority on each tier of the major settlement buildings for every faction in game. This includes unique main settlements where a major faction starts, such as Altdorf. Note that this increase is applied only when the faction does not already have that tier of a major settlement. This should mean that the AI now prioritize getting their first major settlements up to tier 5 much more effectively than before, which should help improve the campaign AI progression over the length of the campaign. Yeah, so basically all the major factions will get a lot more stronger now because they'll be able to focus their actual capital, which will allow them to get different units, different hero types unlocked, and so on. Yeah, I mean, I'm really curious to play as this. I really want to check this out and see how it goes. We also have another section here, special resource building construction priorities. Why? We've identified inefficient AI planning for economy buildings, specifically regarding special resources. What? We've increased special resources construction priority to be higher than our normal income buildings. Great, so they'll get their bonuses. This will also make them a little bit stronger. Overall, this is going to be quite good. This should, in theory, work out with the Skaven quite well. I'm not sure if the AI Skaven does use food, because it's always really inconsistent, but now that we're seeing an AI change, hey, it might make them a little bit stronger too. Alright, we're going to talk about the Lizardmen and the Tomb Kings in their own section, because it looks like there's a few things that might change for you. So, bespoke faction buildings, scores, and synergies update. Lizardmen. Why? After an extensive review on Lizardmen recruitment, it became evident that they struggled to recruit high-tier monsters in later turns of the campaign. This triggered a database review of our building construction synergies, which revealed both a major bug, blocking them from building the beast building in major settlements, and inefficient synergies. What? We've removed Smith, Weapon Crafter's Commune building requirement to unlock the Temple Guard units in the Saurus military building chain. This was done for two main reasons. To allow for better building synergy in major settlements, where the Smith building is not required for the Saurus military building chain, and two, to allow for easier recruitment of the Temple Guard units. This is why I think it's going to affect us, because obviously that means that you're going to get Temple Guard a little bit faster. Keep in mind that this is still focusing on AI, but still, it's a big change. Overhaul the building synergies. Skinks chain. Construction priority major settlements has been decreased. Note that the major settlement building chain itself also unlocks the first tier of Skinks. Note for Nakai that he unlocks Croxagors from his main settlement chain. So yeah, this is so they stop recruiting so many skinks, because in some cases, oh my god, you'll just see armies and armies of skinks. Obviously this should change now, but it was getting like kind of frustrating. You weren't actually fighting the big monsters. Pterodons changed. Default Pterodon tier 2 to tier 4. Construction priority in minor settlements has also been decreased. Okay. Tic-tac-toe Pterodons, tier 2 to tier 3. Construction priority in major settlements has been decreased, and the construction priority in minor settlements has been increased. This will promote more flying unit recruitment by AI Tic-tac-toe. Oh boy, that's going to be fun. He's such a hard faction to deal with early on sometimes, because there's so much harassment going on. It's not complaining. I'm going to like this, because I like a difficult campaign. I don't mind losing armies. It's a big thing for me. I think it's like, well, if the AI outplayed me, or they had better armies, that's how it goes. I need to tailor my forces differently. I know some people might see that as a problem, but yeah, this should be fun. Smith. Construction priority when a skink chain is present has been decreased. Okay. Change the trigger condition for this synergy to start when the skink chain is at tier 3, where the Smith chain is needed. Okay. Construction priority when a Saurus chain is present has been removed. With the update to the relevant unlock condition, this synergy is no longer relevant. Construction priority when a Cold Ones chain is present has been decreased. Great Beast chain. Default chain. So construction priority in major settlements has been considerably increased. Okay. Previously, this condition effectively blocked this chain from being built in major settlements. Construction priority on all building tiers has been increased to ensure that campaign AI continues to upgrade building tiers with high priority. Okay. Construction priority in minor settlements has been reduced. Yeah, so the monsters will not be built in minor settlements, so they can focus on the big ones. Nakai's chain. Increased construction priority to high to match their advanced military buildings. Cultus Sotek change. Okay, there's a lot of chain. Yeah. Increased construction priority to high to match other advanced military buildings. Construction priority in minor settlements has been reduced. Reverence of the Old Ones. Construction priority in minor settlements has been reduced. Construction priority with a Great Beast chain is present has been decreased also. Slan Star Chamber. Construction priority after at least one has been constructed per faction has been considerably lowered. Okay, so that's actually quite good. So you only really need one to focus on the tech tree. And it looks like we've got campaign triggers here, which can easily then see if one's been built. This is quite good. It shows that the engine is fairly advanced. There were just bugs that were never touched upon. So this is sounding pretty good. This is really sounding good. Alright, a little bit left for the Lizardmen. Scrying pool. Construction priority in major settlements has been reduced. Food, farm, skink, foraging camp. Construction priority has been increased. Construction priority after at least one has been construction per faction has been considerably lowered. The building unlocks skink technologies research, and it is important for the AI to build one per faction. Yeah, this is true. It's something that I hope gets fixed when we eventually get a Lizardmen rework. Good God, I hate the tech tree. Let's continue. Nakai building score values overhauled to focus on construction more clearly on military buildings, whereas before all building types had the same construction priorities. This should be quite interesting. I wonder if this is actually going to make Nakai a little bit more active now, because in most cases, when it comes to my time lapses and so on, I use him as the generic faction because, yeah, he just kind of exists, you know? That's the Lizardmen done, so let's move on to the Tomb Kings. Why? After close review of late game, it was noted that the Tomb King AI recruits too few tier 4 plus units, the higher tier constructs, particularly so in very late turns of a campaign. What? Income chain. Updated construction priority in higher tier major settlements to apply to all levels of income buildings. The AI should not look further to build income in major settlements that reaches level 4, but rather leave those slots open for the tier 4 exclusive buildings. Okay, that's not too bad. Added a new rule to prevent further construction in a major settlement once the major settlement reaches level 5. The intent here is to allow the AI in level 5 major settlements to focus on more advanced buildings construction instead. Note that the Tomb Kings do not have unit upkeep, so their economy is less reliant on income buildings. Yeah, fair play. But they do still need some, so they can afford the buildings themselves. Growth chain. Major settlements that have reached the max tier have had their construction priority for growth buildings removed. This means the AI will not construct any growth buildings once the major settlement has reached level 5. Cavalry change. Construction priority in minor settlements has been reduced. Construction priority in major settlements has been increased. Citadel, Bone Giant plus support. Considerably increased construction priority to match advanced military buildings. Note that the previous values were extremely low, making any other building have a higher priority of being constructed over this one. See, details like this are so important when it comes to patches. We had that with a small hotfix in the past, but this is great. This is actually something that gives us more knowledge and insight of what's happening in the back end of the game itself. War Sphinx. Increased construction priority to match advanced military buildings. Removed per faction priority reduction as it was unnecessary deprioritizing the building construction. Note that this building increases the cap by just 1. Yeah, I mean, we're going to see more War Sphinxes. Necrosphinxes. Increased construction priority to match the advanced military building. Isn't this the same building? It's been a while since I played the Tomb Kings, actually. Removed per faction priority reduction as it was unnecessary penalizing the building construction. Once again, it just increases by 1, so we're all good there. Hero Titan, once again, increased the construction priority to advance, and yeah, okay. All the same there, but we do have some new information down here. Prevented income and growth buildings from being constructed in Khemri, Lamia, Pyramid of Nagash. Note that all these unique settlements have unique buildings available and special resource buildings as well, gold and diamond. The intent is to prioritize available construction slots for more important and unique buildings such as landmarks and special resources. Hopefully that is working with not just those ones but like all the pyramids, because there is a fair amount of pyramid buildings in all of Nehekara, so it would be nice to see that prioritized. Alright, higher difficulties update. Feedback indicated insufficient challenge on higher difficulties. Why? To allow the higher difficulty modes to achieve their intended difficulty calibration and to give a slight boost to the AI across all difficulty levels. The following changes were also created with the intent of improving the overall AI recruitment behavior, particularly when recruiting high tier units in the later stages of a campaign. What? Increased by 20% difficulty buffs applied to the AI based on their faction potential. This affects XP gains, construction costs, recruitment costs, upkeep, growth, and replenishment rate. Added global recruitment duration reductions. Very hard, -1 turn. Legendary, -2 turns. Ooh. This effectively makes global recruitment as fast as local recruitment on legendary mode only. So legendary mode is going to get a lot more intense. Well, I guess Legend of Total War is going to have a lot of content coming up soon. But yeah, I mean, this sounds good. This honestly sounds good. I'll leave some final thoughts till later, but I'm feeling really optimistic about this. But we've got something really cool to talk about. New units, yes. 2 new units are coming into the game. These are unit variants, and they're arriving for the Greenskins for all the owners. So we've got goblins. These are... there's a little bit of detail here, actually. But wait, we already have goblins. The new goblin units wield swords and shields, while the existing unit has been renamed to Goblin Spears. When the game originally released in 2016, oh my god, time flies, doesn't it? Yeah, it sure does. There were no goblins with swords, so the spear wielders took their generalist role in the roster. With the introduction of goblins with swords, the 2 units can now be more specialized. Goblins with spears now enjoy standard spear benefits like bonus versus large, charge defense, and a more defensive profile, and these are obviously the generic front starting units. This is great. At the end of the day, I know it's just a reskin unit, essentially just a different type of weapon, but we talked about this actually in a few videos back. The idea here is variety, right? Having that. Now, if you could get that with like every faction as time progresses, every now and then, fucking sweet. By the way, if you're watching this Creative Assembly, remember that there's like 100 million other Greenskin variants currently waiting. Give me my Savage Orcs, please. Lots of Savage Orcs. And then for the second unit, we have Orc Boys with spears. When the opposition gets big, get a bigger stick. These boys come equipped with standard spear package of line holding ability, charge defense, and anti-large, while returning the Orc Boys ability, right? This is actually quite important because a lot of people did like them back in the day on the tabletop. Hell, if you're playing Old World right now, a lot of people are using spears. They are the current meta. So I know a lot of people are going to appreciate it. I sure as hell am. I've been painting up a lot of different orcs recently, and oh boy, I'm just tired of painting orcs. I'm going to be honest with you. This one is very exciting because it's something that we've been complaining about for a long time. I think Warhammer 1, essentially. Battle Map Tree Cluster Update. We've received a lot of feedback regarding certain old and new battle maps having odd looking clusters of trees that neither looked good nor served any tactical purpose in the battles. In response, we've embarked on a journey to address this by reworking those tree clusters, making them look more natural and offering better tactical options in battles, or removing them entirely where they were not needed. Since then, there have been a ton of maps that could benefit from such an update. We've decided to release them in batches with each patch rather than making you wait until all are completed. So there's a bunch of maps here. Cathay, Old World Mountains, Empire Forest, Norska stuff. Yeah. Unfortunately, Creative Assembly didn't provide us with the standalone images, so they can't really be seen too well on screen, but you can see 2 examples here with the Ripeworld Forest and the Olden Pass. It does look a little bit better, even though it's a little bit pixelated. Yeah, this is great. This is about time. I mean, this has been an issue since 2016, so it's good to see this finally happening. A lot of people have been complaining about it. There's a bunch of maps that do need fixes. Hopefully it's not just trees and they'll start fixing up certain issues with, mountain passes, some rocks and so on, which are pretty much randomly in different locations and sometimes just kind of bug out a little bit when it comes to pathfinding. But yeah, overall, good change. One of the community maps that was implemented for that domination mode, I believe it was, that was unfortunately having to be taken off straight after to get fixed up, is now fixed up. So if you're looking forward to that map, there you go. With CA shouting out Bob That Builder, the map maker. So that's always nice to see modders getting shoutouts. There's a new background for Shadows of Change, so this is for your main menu. Once again, kind of going into the factor of they're still fixing up Shadows of Change. Hopefully at some point we can see Egram Van Horseman as a missing FLC Legendary Lord, and we're all pretty much sorted there. But yeah, I will say the artwork is pretty. There's one thing that I can't fault CA artists, CA in general is just the art department is really on point. That is stunning. That is absolutely beautiful. We've got a host of bug fixes here, so let's go over them. Performance. Resolved a rare crash that occurred during the end turn cycle when a character died. Fixed a potential crash that could occur when changing the campaign province governor. Resolved the performance issue that occurred when capturing the point during a conquest battle. I'm thrown off by the governor thing. What's that mean? Is that like something that maybe was in Pharaoh and it just found itself here? And finally, fixed a potential softlock at the start of a multiplayer campaign where sequential turns are enabled. Okay, good. Campaign, fixed the Mournhowl's Wolf of the Waste skills not applying to Demon Spew Forsaken Regiment of Renown units. Fixed issues where missions where the own X amount of provinces objective was completing too early. Fixed a bug where the foreign slot removal button could appear off screen at some resolutions. Weird. Okay. Campaign animations. Fixed the bug where the Supreme Sorceress was missing some animations. Fixed the bug where Morathi had no animations when mounting on her Pegasus after reloading a save and selecting a mount. Interesting. Alright, battles. Fixed the reinforcement direction for Lufa Harkin's army in Nakai's Golden Tributes quest battle. Fixed an issue with the choke point map Broken Bluff, Badlands Waste, where Vanguard units could deploy anywhere on the map, including the enemy deployment zone. Ah, shame, I like that. Well, okay, it happens to a few other maps, I'm not sure they caught that either, but yeah. Battle animations. Resolved an animation issue with the shoulder armor of Exalted Hero Nurgle when mounted on his Chaos Steed. Fixed a bug where the Bretonnia's Lord's cape becomes rigid and clips into the horse during idle stance animation. Yep, something that happens to the Bretonnians. I don't know why, but like Bretonnians always have like animation or texture issues every major patch. It's really weird. It's specifically that race. Fixed the bug where during the battle, the Shade's sword would sometimes spin out of their hand while performing a melee attack animation. No more Jedi movement. Fixed the bug where the Toad Dragon could no longer swallow the Elemental Bear during combat. They can? What? Weird. Yeah. Weird. And fixed the bug where the Orc Laborer's defense animation route was not properly aligned. Cool. I mean, decent bug fixes overall. This second image unfortunately is not in the best graphical quality. They cut it out for some reason from the original stuff that they sent us, but it's information regarding rollbacks. We've updated the definitions of our rollback builds on Steam. To view these rollbacks, right click Total War Warhammer 3 in your Steam library, then select Properties, Betas, Beta Participation. With this section you'll be able to find our builds, which are now named as follows. Last update, which is the last version where the first integer changed, 5.0.0. Last patch, the last version where so 5.1. Last hotfix, 5.0.1. And last release, last time any of the versions are changed. For further understanding, here's a definition of each of those related types. So for updates, it's the last time that we've had like a patch update. This usually follows around new content too. So point zeros and stuff like that. When a DLC has dropped, a patch is the last major patch, like a 0.1, 0.2, like right now, or 0.3 or whatever, right? Hotfix being the 0.0, 0.1s. So if you want to roll back, this is for your stuff for mods and so on. This is going to be quite good for you to go back for. And finally, we have a final message from CA. We'd like to say another huge thank you to everyone who's provided us with the feedback and suggestions, as well as those who have reported their bugs since the release of Thrones of Decay, patch 5.1 and the subsequent hotfixes. If you run into any new issues after updating to 5.2, use their forum for that, because obviously that's the best place to go. Recently we sat down to record another video with Rich, Sean and Mitch from the dev team, and we'll be sharing next month. But until then, keep talking to us about your experience with Total War Warhammer 3 over in CA community, as we'd love to reading your feedback and regularly use it to identify new improvements that we can bring to the game. Okay, so I'm going to give you some final thoughts here. I am pretty much impressed at this point. You know, this is a patch like no other. We've not seen a patch like this ever in the history of the game, because the other patches have just been fluffed out with change multiplier price, change 1 damage point value on this and that and that. Everything here is directly linked to campaign, which is obviously a good thing because the grand majority of the players are in the campaign here. Like there's 2% for multiplayer. Now, I'm not saying that multiplayer shouldn't get updates, but this stuff, when it comes to campaign focused stuff, there should really be a big push for this. So I'm very happy to see this. I'm hoping that this continues. The idea is fixing up stuff. It looks like we finally got a legacy team. We're going to have to talk about that in the future. Obviously, I don't want to like scream bells and whistles just right now until we see how it goes when the launch happens tomorrow, because obviously some stuff can look good in paper and then just doesn't work. This is not just a Total War thing. This is just unfortunately how it works with gaming. I've seen this with many other games where a big patch was advertised, they've tested it that well, and something has broken. I'm not being a doomer. I'm very excited. I'm just being realistic. I'm really keen on the cult rework, actually. I think that's a big thing. The fact that we finally got new units, too, this is a big thing. There's a lot of units that they can't justify in DLCs, and they're simple enough to kind of just do, because in most cases, you know when some people say, well, a modder could have done this, right? Yeah, because in most cases, it's just going into the DB and switching out the animations. But some people don't want mods for basic units like that. Some people want it officially. End of the day, it's great to see this happen because there's a lot of missing Greenskin stuff. I'd like to see this happen in the future with the Warriors of Chaos also and a few other factions. It would be great just to see some unit variety come in. If we can see this happening as time progresses, it's going to make the game feel much more alive for people. There's going to be a lot more troops. And I think that in general, having more is never really a bad thing. So I'm pretty excited about this. If patches are going to be this size and focus on loads and loads of updates like this, that doesn't have to be like this heavy, because like obviously they've introduced a lot of new features and that. But if we're going to get consistent patches around this size or a little bit smaller in some cases, so they can actually do some multiplayer fixes, because they have to at the end of the day. There's tournaments and so on. I would be generally happy if we could get this maybe once every month and a half or something. This would be perfect. This would be absolutely perfect. It's what the game needed. I'm feeling a lot more happy, I guess. I can't wait to see how the campaign AI changes things. I really can't wait. I'm going to sit down and I'm actually going to start playing again quite heavily. I've been playing casually, but like right now it's been kind of quiet, if you get what I mean. So, yeah, this is looking good. Let's hope for the best. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Have a great day, guys. I am going to go to the gym because I'm recording this on the day that this is coming out, as I was indisposed yesterday, which is never fun. See ya.